2024 was the year of undeserved title shots in the UFC. You had Asakura fighting for a belt, Roundtree, Marlon Vera, and many others that did not deserve a title shot whatsoever. So I took it upon myself to find the biggest threats to the champion in each division, all the way from flyweight to heavyweight. So these are the guys that, if they're pinned up against the champion, it's going to be a 50-50, or at least that's what the general consensus will be. So at flyweight, the biggest threat to Alejandro Pantoja is Kai France. Kai France probably has the most power in his hands at flyweight. He's also has pretty much a win over Amir Albazi. He went to war with Brandon Moreno, and he just had a beautiful knockout over Steve Erceg. He's quick, he's experienced, and I just think he'd give Pantoja a lot of trouble. Royval's not as slick as France on the feet. I don't think he's as powerful. And then obviously Moreno's already been beat by Pantoja multiple times. Manel Kape's been beat by Pantoja, and I guess Kai France has been too. But I think Kai France's loss to Pantoja was back on the Ultimate Fighter. So this is not really a rematch. This is a whole new fight from when they first fought. And I think this is the one they're making, which it's a good fight. But here's the thing. Personally, I think the UFC would be stupid to not bring Muhammad Mokaev back to the organization. He just absolutely ragdolled one of their biggest stars in the flyweight division in Manel Kape, and his striking's amazing. His grappling's amazing. I think if he was still in the UFC, he would be the biggest threat to Alejandro Pantoja, no doubt. But since he's gone, I had to pick Kai France. Next, for Bantamweight, I got Umar Nurmagomedov. I know what you guys are probably saying, he already lost to Merab, how could he be, whatever, blah, 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 whatever. But if you really look at the fight, Umar won the first 2 rounds. Merab won the third and fourth, but the fifth round was really close. Honestly, the third and fifth rounds were both close. There's no decisive, clear winner of that round. I even in the fifth, I just remember watching the fight and I was like, dude, Merab's got to start actually doing stuff other than taunting because he might screw himself over and get a loss. And I think Merab mainly won that fight on aura, especially that fifth round. If you really look at it, their strikes had to have been dead even. Merab didn't do anything significant with the takedowns, so they're not really accounted for in the scoring. So Umar Nurmagomedov is right there. His grappling is just as good as Merab's. He's able to pretty much defend all his grappling and even take Merab down at times. So it's literally dead even. And then his striking, I'd say, is better than Merab's. The only thing he lacks is the cardio, which obviously Merab is not going to be matched at. But he still went a hard 5, and he really didn't gas out till the fourth and fifth. If they get a rematch, this is as much of a 50-50 fight as you can get. Both guys are very elite, and honestly, I think Umar Nurmagomedov has the best skill set in Bantamweight, if not one of the best skill sets in the whole UFC. Just how well-rounded, fast, explosive, everything he is. So I had to say Umar Nurmagomedov's the biggest threat to the champion at Bantamweight. And then obviously Sean O'Malley, he lost that fight 3-2 to Merab. So it wasn't as dominant as people like to say it was. Sean almost got him out of there in that fifth round. And the thing with Sean is he always has that one punch knockout potential or kick more than anyone else. And Merab, as we've seen, has been chinny before. So I'd say Umar first, and then Sean is the second biggest threat. At featherweight, this one's a little tricky. There's not a champion right now, technically, but I'd say Volk's the best fighter right now. He was winning the fight against Topuria, which no one likes to talk about. Like to say it's just the easiest win, whatever. And he beat Max 3 times, one of the greatest fighters ever. Could have beat Islam if he had different judges that night in their first fight. Second fight, short notice, he was up weight class. Whatever, things didn't go his way, coming off the couch. But still, Volkanovski's as elite as they come. He has insane boxing, insane fight IQ, super high volume. He has grappling for days. He could literally defend Brian Ortega's jiu-jitsu and Islam Makhachev's wrestling, two of the best at their individual respective grappling crafts. So no one's gonna be taking control of Volk on the ground. Sure as hell ain't gonna be Lopez. And then, yeah, as far as striking goes, this dude outstruck Max in the third fight easily. So you can pick Lopez all you want because you think Volk's going to be chinny, this, that, or the other. But the fact of the matter is he's taken more than a year off. He'll be fine. Yeah, he's up there in age, but he's still going to have his technique. His speed might go down a little bit, and durability, but it's still going to be like 95, 90% of the prime Volk we knew. So I think Volk's going to be the next featherweight champion now that Ilya's gone. At lightweight, the biggest threat to Makhachev, it's got to be Ilia Topuria. This one goes without even saying, like, he has probably some of the most powerful hands in the UFC. He has world class grappling. I'd say he's a better jiu-jitsu artist than wrestler. Very good defensive grappling. He's been taken down by Bryce Mitchell, so his takedown defense isn't the best, but he's not going to be getting submitted anytime soon. I'll tell you that much. I see this as very similar to the Volk fight. He has the same build, except he has way more power, and his wrestling's not quite as good as Volk's, or at least defensively. But I think this fight's like a true 50-50 as well, to be honest. MMA community is completely split on who they think will win. I don't even know who I got yet. I feel like I'll have to see both their next performances. Unless they're going to fight each other, then I guess we'll know then. But that one's a hard one to call. Ilya's going to be faster. Their cardio's both going to be amazing. They're both very durable. I could see either one winning. I'd say Ilya has to be the number one challenger. And then in the wings, you got like Arman, Charles. But Islam's already beat them, so I'm going to go with Ilia Topuria. At welterweight, I got Joaquin Buckley. I know you're probably thinking, why didn't I pick Makhachev? The fact of the matter is Bilal said he won't fight Makhachev because they trained one time together. So if Bilal wasn't ducking, I'd say Islam. But since Bilal is ducking, I got Tyler, the Creator. His defensive wrestling and offensive, both amazing. I don't know, though. Kobe Covington was able to take him down at some points, like just through scrambles. But even then, Bilal's not going to piece him up on the feet. I think it's hard to get Buckley in compromising positions on the ground. He's very explosive. He has actually pretty decent cardio. And yeah, I just think he's very well rounded. And he's more of a threat than like someone like Shavkat, who, if you really look at his fights, he really doesn't do the best with takedowns and have the best grappling. I already figured that after the Steven Thompson fight. After the Ian Gary fight, everyone else kind of figured that out the hard way. I gotta go with Joaquin Buckley. Another good one I think would be like Usman. I know people are probably gonna think that's crazy to say, but the fact of the matter is Usman I can't really picture him getting out wrestled by Bilal. And he has pretty good striking, like a pretty good jab. So I think Buckley and Usman both would be very hard test for Bilal. And then, like JDM's just gonna get grappled to a decision. Like that fight's not gonna be close, I don't think. His only way of winning is to just catch Bilal. But skill for skill, he's not better than Bilal. For middleweight, biggest threat to DDP, gotta be Khamzat Chimaev. I know I just said he was overrated in my last video, but just because I said someone's overrated doesn't mean they're bad. I still think Khamzat's truly one of the most elite fighters in the world. Definitely the best offensive wrestler. We haven't really seen his defensive wrestling tested, so that's going to be the X factor. His cardio is not the best, so if he doesn't get Dricus out of them the first, second round, he could be in for a long night. But overall, I think the first round Khamzat's one of the most dangerous fighters ever. He's only been to 2 decisions with Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. I just think his grappling is going to be a huge threat to Dricus. But yeah, like I said, if once he gets out of that first, second round, his threat level goes way down. And I think Dricus definitely wins if it goes into the third. But I don't know who else I'd even say. Imavov, I don't think he beats Dricus. Dricus could easily out-grapple him and honestly outstrike him too. Adesanya was easily outstriking him. Adesanya got caught. That's the fact of the matter. He has hundreds of hours of tape out there. So people eventually picked up on his weakness to straight right punches. But Imavov's not beating Dricus. RDR is not beating Dricus. I'd say the biggest threat would have to be Khamzat, and even then, I still think Dricus would win, but it'd be a very close and a very good fight. For light heavyweight, I got Magomed Ankalaev is the biggest threat to Alex Pereira, and they're fighting tomorrow, which is going to be an amazing fight. I actually picked Magomed Ankalaev. I just think he has the grappling, which obviously, but then he also has very, very good striking, and he's pretty quick on the feet too. And he has some good straight lefts from southpaw, which Alex isn't the best against southpaws. I'm not saying he's bad against them, but he's much better against orthodox fighters. His leg kick's much more effective. But I think Magomed is going to really give Alex a run for his money. Obviously Alex already beat Yuri twice, easily beat Jamal Hill, beat Roundtree, Jan Blachowicz. I think he'd beat Jan even easier now that Jan's older. That fight, honestly, it was very close. I thought Jan won it at the time, but I could see either or. But yeah, I'm going to go Magomed Ankalaev. He's literally a better wrestler than Jan, and that's who Alex struggled against. And he's got some nasty ground and pound. He's never been really hurt on the feet. Alex doesn't really knock people out cold. So I think this is going to be an interesting one. I think Magomed will come out on top, unfortunately. Obviously I want Alex to win, but sometimes that's not how the cookie crumbles. You don't always get what you want. So I think the biggest threat to Alex Perry is Magomed Ankalaev. And for heavyweight, the biggest threat to John Jones, we all know it's Tom Aspinall. If you're gonna say Tom Aspinall is a champ, I'd say Joe and Almeida. But honestly, Tom and John are just on a whole different level. Now, this one's been very split, like the community. There's not really a general pick out there for who everyone thinks will win. Personally, I don't know, dude. Jones wasn't the fastest in the Stipe fight, but the way he was throwing those kicks and those punches so well, and his grappling looked phenomenal. Tom Aspinall's only like actual loss was to grappling. He has a loss to DQ, then the stoppage against Curtis Blades in which he hurt his knee, got that one back. So his only loss is to a heel hook in grappling. And we've never seen his grappling tested. And if we know anything about John Jones, it's that he has some of the best grappling in the UFC. And even in his corner, he has Gordon Ryan, Gable Steveson, both helping him in his camps for his grappling. One of the best college wrestlers in Gable Steveson, and one of the best, probably the best BJJ practitioner in Gordon Ryan. So John Jones's ground game is absolutely nasty. I think it's honestly probably even gotten better. So it's going to be a good fight. Like if I were to pick it now, I'd say John Jones. He's 37, 38, which honestly at heavyweight, that's not too bad. Tom would have the speed advantage regardless of how old or young John was. Tom's just a faster guy. But I think it's going to be a good one. And we're definitely in for a treat. Those are my picks for the biggest threats to each current champion in the UFC. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below. I respond to all the comments. And thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.